NSI. As you see the numbers there, they benefited pretty well from the program, but that's their choice, and hopefully we will continue to communicate. If they need anything, of course, we'll provide what we can for them. But they are no longer a part of the NSI, but obviously these numbers will be sent to their special business district as to what occurred in the past 3 years. How did we get to this point? What kinds of things have helped? I'm going to share with you some of the statistics of our police-related supplemental companies. And I say police-related because both High-Tech Security and the city's finest employ off-duty police officers, as you know, in uniform, who have the immediate powers of arrest. They're in the city of St. Louis. It just makes the whole ball of wax much, much easier and much smoother when they are accosting or confronting the criminal element. These are the numbers for 2010. I get to these numbers in 2 ways. In about June of 2009, I received the okay from the police department, as I'm still a commissioned police officer also, that I could receive information on what type of activity was occurring. So I asked both of those police-related companies to give me that information of what their companies were doing. These are the results. I want to share that I had, again, after looking at numbers, I had inadvertently missed out on a presentation 2 nights ago on the number of citations and field interview reports from High-Tech. So I had contacted Amy Massey, who does a lot of their record keeping, to make sure before I get here that I had exact numbers. So these numbers are true from each company, as well as what I keep and what I've been able to verify. So with that being said, it's 2 different types of policemen. On a bicycle, on foot, you're going to be much more sneaky. You're going to be able to approach and go into areas that you cannot in a car, in a vehicle. The bad guy can see you two blocks away. They can see the cherries on top of the car. They can hear cars farther away. So one of the first things that I suggested in my interview phase for this job was bicycle patrol. It didn't have anything to do with me being a former bicycle cop myself. I just thought it was a good idea. However, it's for the makeup of the Central West End, it was obvious to me in my research prior to the job that this would be a great form of patrol, and it wasn't happening in the Central West End. And I think simultaneously, as I was interviewing, adjacent to here was Forest Park Southeast neighborhood. They had already started with TCF, who also were giving a sales pitch over here to the north in Westminster Lake. So it made it easy for me that that company was already police officers on bicycles and were doing that. So once we started that, they really, really went forward and are able to do a lot more than what a policeman can in a car. There's no secrets to this. It is what it is. High-Tech Security, for the past 20 years or so, have been providing the services throughout the Central West End. And with that, the question came up of, is it sufficient in the cars? Sure, it's sufficient. It's almost seasonal and it has its place. But some of the things that were happening also is that restrictions came out that were beyond High-Tech's control as well as ours as to stopping vehicles if you're not in a police car, if you're not in a St. Louis police car. So they were limited on some of the things that they could do. And therefore, that makes it a little more difficult. Again, in the spring and summer around the Central West End, there are folks everywhere. So it's much easier to blend and hide with all those people and wait on those cars to go by versus what you can get when the cops are walking in on that. So these are the numbers for 2010. And that's what our two police-related companies were able to do. Prior to 2009, 20 years prior to that, no one had information. Nobody had this. There were not records being kept as far as the taxpayers, where your money was going, what they were doing. So this is why this was important, and now we have a form of record keeping so that you are aware of what the companies are doing. Two rules of thought when you talk about this. The main thing is visibility is great until you know how to wait for the police to go by. So the second element that we really concentrated on in 2010, let's get the bad guys off the street. Let's make the arrests. Let's write the tickets. Let's do all of those things. So that's what occurred there. And those numbers increased 2010 versus what they were in 2009. The companies are doing exactly what we're asking them to do. Now, with that being said, when I say citations, High Tech Security wrote approximately 87 to 89% of their citations were for parking violations. And here's what happens. You get someone who comes home and their driveways are blocked. You get folks who are visiting the Central West End and they've had a few drinks and they park wherever they want. And then you have your tenants and folks who are not so happy about that. But in the process,